Catherine Ham, Brian Wilson, Brian Neiman, today's newsmakers, and you. The Morning Majority, 630.
WMAL. Good morning. We're so glad that you're with us here on The Morning Majority. WMAL, Wilson and Ham in the house, and Neiman taking some time off. But that's okay, because we're handling it here. And Jake Tapper is on the line. He's the White House correspondent for ABC News, all-around good guy to get up early with us and talk to us. Jake, as we got through what many thought was going to be the heavier lift over on Capitol Hill, and that was the debt deal got through the House. It looks like it's on its way through the Senate today. How are they looking at this thing at the White House? They seem to be spinning it as a win, but there's no doubt, as you look at the political landscape, that the president lost. He's not being viewed very positively by some on the left.
Well, I mean, I think Republicans, generally speaking, got most of what they wanted. I think it's hard to look at it any other way. The White House's first position was they wanted a clean debt ceiling vote. They didn't get that. Then, as recently as a week and a half ago, they were talking about the importance of it being a balanced approach that included revenue, tax increases on the wealthy and corporations as part of the package. And the president, presumably today will sign into law something that does not do that. So even though there are, the Republicans didn't get 100%, I could certainly understand why, anybody in the Progressive Caucus feels like Republicans, even though they control one house, not two, and not the White House, largely, won the negotiation. That's certainly what I think.
There were many in the House on the left and many on the House on the right who couldn't vote for the thing, and there were a lot of people in the middle who voted it, but they had to hold their nose to do it. It doesn't seem like anybody likes this deal. Even the people who believe the Tea Party has changed the nature of the debate, the Tea Party doesn't like the deal. It's sort of an odd thing, isn't it?
Well, most of the freshman class voted for it. I'm not sure about the Tea Party caucus, but most of the freshman class of House Republicans.
I think it was actually more than half of the Tea Party caucus as well.
Yeah, so, I mean, look, when you're dealing with the deficit, even if anything is, even if it's not hugely bipartisan in terms of what the policy is you're going to have to hold your nose. Whatever the deficit commission, or I'm sorry, it's not a deficit commission now, whatever the super committee comes up with in November that they vote on in December, assuming that happens, you're going to have to hold your nose for it. And even if that does pass, we're still going to have $7 trillion in new debt over the next decade. So we're still not really tackling the issue, even if all of this happens the way it's supposed to happen. Even if the president's grand bargain idea, $4 trillion over 10 years in deficit reduction, happened, we still would have $6 trillion in new debt over the next decade. Nothing is going to be easy if this country is ever going to really try to get a hold of this debt crisis, this debt issue. There are going to have to be much more painful measures taken than we can even contemplate right now.
Well, and that's the question I've been asking, is that, the American public seem to get very squeamish very quickly about the squabbling. They get disgusted. They think it's ridiculous. Those are some of the words that come up in polling. But to actually make the tough choices and to have these fights on a very tough issue, we're going to have to do this like every couple of months now. And I'm wondering how the American people react and whether politicians just go, whoa, we're not going to do this anymore, and just sort of ignore it.
Well, I think what has to happen is and look, I think to the Tea Party's credit, we are now having a conversation about debt and deficit that a lot of people have wanted to have.
Right.
A lot of people wanted for decades. I interviewed last night former Congressman Mike Castle from Delaware, and Castle was on in 1993 a bipartisan commission for entitlement reform to try to get a hold of this problem in 1993. It went nowhere. I mean, they had recommendations and everything like that, but it didn't go anywhere. One of the reasons it didn't go anywhere was because there weren't the triggers that are in this super committee for that reason, he was much more optimistic about this than the commission he was on. But I think that the conversation has changed. That's a good thing, that to take this problem seriously, because everybody, Democrats, Republicans, political office holders for years have talked about how the conversation, how the deficit needs to be tackled.
Be careful what they wish for.
Well, but the problem is, I think, is that the education isn't there yet in terms of what does it mean. If you have a government that is spending more than it's taking in, that is taking in 60 cents. I mean, this is the irony, or not the irony, but this is one of the things that I thought was interesting when Carney was warning last week about what happens on Tuesday or Wednesday, rather, if the ceiling's not raised. He kept on saying, we only take in 60 cents for every dollar we spend. That's been the case for a long, long time in this country. And so either you need to add 40 cents, or you need to stop spending the 40 cents. I mean, I don't mean like immediately, but at some point, in order for this country to actually live within its means. But what does that mean? Who's paying the 40 cents or 20 cents, and who's being deprived of the 20 cents in spending? It's just, people need the politicians have a responsibility, and we in the media do too, to explain what this means.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, it's 7:44. We got to let you go, Jake. Thank you so much for calling in. We appreciate it.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get in my soapbox.
Oh, no. I love that soapbox. I'm on it all the time.
Yeah, it's just the deficit is something that's been on my mind for 20 years.
Yeah.
And no one ever, we're finally talking about it.
I'm with you. It's going to be a tough, long fight.